Micron says its 2026 HBM supply is sold out. Now it plans more than $250 billion of US fabs. Sounds obvious, until the last memory boom. In 2022, Micron made $8.7 billion. 1 year later, it lost $5.8 billion. Not because fabs broke, because too much memory hit the market. Now, Micron, Samsung, and SK Hynix are all expanding again. So has AI changed memory? Or is Micron rebuilding the same cycle? 3 clocks decide it. Start with Micron's biggest project in Clay, New York. That campus could eventually contain 4 memory fabs and cost up to $100 billion. Across all 4, the clean rooms would total about 2.4 million square feet, roughly 40 football fields. The project is so large that environmental mitigation includes creating more than 1,200 acres of off-site bat habitat. But the strangest number is not the size. It is the calendar. Micron announced the New York project in 2022. The first fab is not expected to produce at scale until around 2030. The full campus can keep building out into 2041. The shortage exists now. Some factories intended to solve it may still be under construction 15 years from now, so this is not really a bet on today's memory prices. It is a bet on demand years from now. And AI has changed that demand in one very specific way. Modern AI accelerators do not just need more memory. They need HBM, high bandwidth memory. HBM stacks multiple DRAM dies vertically beside the processor, giving the GPU a much faster path to data. But each usable bit is harder to manufacture. Industry estimates suggest HBM can consume roughly 3 to 4 times the wafer capacity of ordinary DRAM per usable bit once stacking, extra processing, and yield losses are included. That changes the old supply equation. Every wafer redirected into HBM produces less conventional memory. And more wafer capacity still does not instantly solve the shortage because HBM needs specialized packaging, bonding, and qualification. So AI can consume factory capacity faster than new wafer counts suggest. Analysts estimate AI could absorb close to 1/5 of global DRAM and wafer capacity in 2026 once HBM's extra wafer intensity is accounted for. And the GPUs keep asking for more. Nvidia's H200 carried about 141 gigabytes of HBM. Newer configurations push toward 288. Future Rubin Ultra systems are targeting as much as 576 gigabytes per GPU. More compute is becoming more memory intensive at the same time. That helps explain why Micron's numbers suddenly look absurd. In fiscal Q3 2026, Micron reported $41.5 billion of revenue. 1 quarter. That is more revenue than Micron generated in any full fiscal year through 2024. And the margin swing is even stranger. Micron's gross margin went from negative 9% in fiscal 2023 to more than 84% in fiscal Q3 2026. And the inventory picture has flipped just as violently. During the 2023 bust, DRAM suppliers were sitting on roughly 31 weeks of inventory. By the current boom, inventories at major producers had fallen to around 2 weeks. From 7 months of unsold memory to nearly empty shelves. In less than 3 years. If you only look at that chart, building fabs looks like the easiest decision in the world. But that chart is also exactly what makes memory dangerous. Because shortages do not end when somebody decides to build a fab. They end years later when the fabs finally begin producing. And memory companies have repeatedly made those decisions at the same time. The cycle is brutally simple. Memory gets scarce. Prices rise, margins explode, everyone expands. But the fabs take years to build. By the time the new supply arrives, the demand that justified it may have changed. Then inventory builds. Prices fall. But most of the fab cost is already sunk, so producers keep making memory into a falling market. That is what caused the swing from the opening. $8.7 billion of profit in 2022 became a $5.8 billion loss in 2023. Its annual revenue was cut almost in half. Its gross margin went negative. Then, Micron cut spending and jobs. Earlier cycles followed the same shape. Prices surged, capacity followed, prices crashed. The business became punishing enough that Toshiba exited DRAM, and Elpida went bankrupt before becoming part of Micron. So why would Micron approve its largest US expansion during another shortage? This is where the story changes. Micron is trying to change what happens before the fab is finished. In June, the company said it had signed 16 strategic customer agreements. They are multi-year, take-or-pay contracts committing customers to specific volumes, usually with fixed prices or price bands with floors. Micron says the agreements signed so far represent roughly 20% of its DRAM volume and about a third of its NAND volume over their terms. And the company says the agreements include about $100 billion of minimum revenue commitments. That is very different from building a fab and hoping the spot market still wants the output years later. Then there is $22 billion of customer deposits and financial commitments. But these are not chip prepayments. Micron's CFO explicitly described them as deposits and related financial commitments. The deposits are expected to be returned later in the agreements and treated as financing cash flows. Micron says that even at the floor prices in many of these contracts, gross margins would remain above the peak quarterly margins from any previous cycle. That may be the most important change in the entire bet. Micron is trying to reserve demand before the capacity arrives, but the contracts expire long before the campus does. They usually run 3 to 5 years, many only through about 2030. Roughly when New York's first fab is supposed to begin contributing supply. Micron's US build-out runs through 2035. New York can run to 2041. And there is another complication: Nvidia. Micron is already shipping HBM4 designed for Nvidia's Vera Rubin platform. That sounds like the perfect customer relationship for a massive AI memory expansion. Except in March, industry reports said Micron had effectively been left out of the first major Vera Rubin HBM4 allocations. 3 months later, Jensen Huang publicly confirmed that Samsung, SK Hynix, and Micron were all qualified suppliers. Micron went from apparently written out to written back in, but analysts still expect SK Hynix to lead, Samsung second, and Micron to hold the smallest share. Nvidia has not guaranteed Micron the winning position. Part of the bet is growing that position, or filling the fabs with demand from other accelerators, custom chips, servers, phones, and cars. Then, the old memory pattern appears again. Micron's competitors are building too. SK Hynix has new capacity scheduled to arrive around 2027. Samsung has major new capacity targeted around 2028. Micron's first Idaho fab is expected to begin wafer output in 2027, with more US capacity following. Different companies. Same 2-year window. That makes 2027 and 2028 the danger zone. The shortage sends the signal first. Then, years later, everybody's answer arrives at once. HBM slows the supply response. Long-term contracts make demand more predictable, but neither one repeals the cycle. Now return to the 3 clocks from the opening. Clock 1 is AI. Major accelerator platforms can change every year or two. HBM per GPU is rising quickly, while memory formats and qualification requirements keep changing. Clock 2 is the fab. Several AI hardware generations can pass before New York's first fab produces at scale. Idaho reaches output years sooner, but New York stretches toward 2030, with the final build-out extending toward 2041. Clock 3 is the economic life. A semiconductor fab has to earn returns for decades. Micron is making decade-scale physical decisions against AI architectures that change every few years. And the public money does not remove that risk. Federal CHIPS support across Micron's US projects is a little over $6 billion. Against a $250 billion planned investment, that is only around 2.5%. The subsidy helps. If you want to test the economics yourself, I made a free mega project calculator for changing cost, utilization, margins, and operating assumptions. It's linked below. But even Micron says it has no idea when the RAM crisis will end. So can Micron break the cycle? It can. If HBM keeps consuming far more wafer capacity than ordinary DRAM, supply stays harder to expand than it looks. If AI keeps increasing memory per accelerator, the fabs can enter a market that still needs them. And if Micron moves enough business onto take or pay agreements before the next capacity wave, it may finally have something memory companies rarely had: customers reserving the future before the future is built. But flip those conditions. AI infrastructure spending slows. Samsung and SK Hynix capacity arrives alongside Micron's. HBM yields improve enough that effective supply jumps. Or the long-term contracts expire before the later US fabs are finished. Then the same mechanism that created the shortage can create the bust. The date to watch is 2027 into 2028. That is when major new capacity starts arriving from multiple producers at once. And the number to watch is not Micron's stock price. It is how much of Micron's future revenue is protected by those long-term agreements before that capacity lands. Because the $250 billion bet is not really a bet that today's shortage lasts forever. It is a bet that memory stops behaving the way memory has behaved for decades. If Micron is right, it is building factories into demand customers have already reserved. If it is wrong, the most expensive part will not be the fabs. It will be discovering that a $250 billion solution arrived just in time for the shortage to be over.